Do you think you could go out right now and get the job done with the watermelons?
Oh, no way.
No way?
No
You're
way.
like, I'm not in watermelon shape.
No. Heck no. I'll pass out for sure.
Oh, that's so great. Leonard Floyd, welcome to the podcast.
What's up?
Thank you so much for dropping by and coming to chat. I know you have a busy day. You're going to be talking to the media. You're going to be doing some video shoots, photo shoots. But what are you most excited about today and the thoughts of joining the organization?
I'm most excited about just being able to tell the fans who I am and just reminding them of I played at Georgia, things like that. Like just giving them my experiences from playing so many years in the league so far.
Well, that's the thing is like we were talking before this even started about the history of you at the University of Georgia. We're talking about the LSU-Georgia game when that was probably the loudest I've ever heard Sanford Stadium as a Georgia grad myself, and I've seen a great many games in that stadium. But for you, I know a lot of people probably watching this podcast know you from those days.
Yeah.
That's been 10 years ago now, not to like date us both to be like, oh, we've aged. But when you look at kind of who you were the last time you were playing in Georgia and playing at the University of Georgia and kind of who you are now walking back into this state to play for the Atlanta Falcons, what's kind of different? What's different about your life?
I'd say the biggest difference is just growth within the game of football, Brady back in Georgia, I was just playing off pure athleticism, not really using IQ a lot. But now that I played football for so many years, it's come to the point where I can use my mind way more than I could at a younger age.
At what point in your career, because, drafted by the Bears and brought in and you play a couple years for the Rams, win a Super Bowl with them, at what point did you kind of feel yourself starting to mold your mind to the game where it's like, you know what, I have a lot more than just my sheer athletic talent, but really honing your mind into the game?
I'd probably say from Chicago to LA, that window, I really growed a lot. I found a great trainer and just really started diving more into studying the craft of pass rushing, and since then it's been paying off for me.
Who's somebody like over the course of that time that was really instrumental in your growth and development?
I'd probably say I give the first person, my trainer, Chuck Smith. He coached for the Ravens right now, but he was my trainer back then before he started coaching. He helped me grasp the art of pass rush, and I've just been taking it with me wherever I go.
Yeah. It's really fun because you're having the chance to reunite with Raheem Morris, who is your defensive coordinator with the Rams, and when y'all won a Super Bowl. And what's your favorite Raheem Morris story? Because I know he's a character, and he's very charismatic, and he's very just like all over the place. And I laugh with him all the time about he makes fun of my accent quite a bit. And so that's always my go-to. And anyone's like, tell me about Raheem Morris. I'm like, he makes fun of my accent every single time that I see him. Do you have a favorite Raheem Morris story from your time playing with him?
I'll say my favorite story is just our Super Bowl run together. Just the mentality he brought to the guys and the all hands on deck mentality he was preaching to us, and we took that and we achieved something that was hard to do. And to this day, I think about the meetings we had and him preaching to us about things we could do better, things we could do to win this game, that game. He's just a great coach, and I'm looking forward to playing for him again.
When you look back at that time and that run up to the Super Bowl, were there moments where you kind of even saw then like, hey, this guy could get another chance as a head coach in this league? Is that something you saw in him even then?
Yeah, I really peeped that during the season. He was just such a player's coach, and when it was time to work, we worked too. We had fun and we worked at the same time, and he had us ready to run through a wall for him. He's a hell of a coach, and I can't wait.
Yeah, when you get, I'm sure you get the call from your agent like, hey, the Falcons are interested in bringing you back to the state of Georgia. Where were you when you got that call, and kind of what was going through your head?
I actually was just chilling in the country, you know, just vibing out, being a country boy I am.
I mean, yeah, I'm a country girl through and through. I
yeah,
get it.
Yeah, you know how it goes. And then my agent just started calling me, and it pretty much went by fast, you know. I always wanted to be a Falcon since I was a kid, and the opportunity came, and I grasped it.
Were you a Falcons fan growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
If you're born in the state of Georgia, you got to be a Georgia fan and a Falcons fan.
Right, yeah.
Never Georgia Tech. So
Oh, yeah.
You know how it goes.
That's really fun. Were you really big? My childhood was very much around like the Michael Vick era of Atlanta Falcons, and that was just such an electric time. Do you have like any Falcons memories from when you were a kid and you're like, oh man?
Yeah, it was definitely that Michael Vick era.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so swaggy, you know, and that always made me want to be a Falcon, that era, for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, anytime I talk to fans or really anybody, they're like, that's the fundamental time that the Falcons and the fandom like really came alive, and it was really exciting. So I actually am introducing a new segment on this podcast called Finish That Quote.
Okay.
And what the premise of this is I have found a quote from you at some point in your career that you have said, and I'm going to have you finish the quote. So I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to tell you what the word is.
Before we start, I suck at games, okay?
Okay, so that's okay.
Bear with me. Okay.
It's funny because football's a game, but, you know, football's also life, you know?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
All right, are you ready? Yeah. I promise this could maybe be a fun one.
Okay.
All right. The quote is, football really isn't anywhere near as hard as filling up a bus full of blank.
A bus full of
blank. Do you want me to give you a hint? This is apparently a story that from when you were a kid, and you had to go out and pick these, and you made
watermelons.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Very good job. Okay, so tell the people this story, because I read it and I was like, oh, this is very much a Southern kid going out needing to make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So what were you doing? Tell us
so basically in high school, I couldn't find like a job or nothing. So I think one of my uncles said he was working in the watermelon field. So I went to the watermelon field to work with him, and I made a good amount of money, but it was hard labor. Like, you got to scoop the watermelon
They're
up,
heavy.
Toss it. Yeah, it's real labor, but I believe from working in the watermelon field, I've been athletic. You know, it helped me. It helped me with football also, because I'm really working out as I'm tossing the watermelons all day. So it was good for me.
Yeah.
And I made money for my high school shoes, you know, my high school clothes. Because, you know, back then it was hard to afford those things. But it was great. I treated it like a real job.
Do you believe the quote that football really isn't as hard as filling up a bus full of watermelons?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not as hard. Because those guys that do that it's real labor. It's real hard labor. And to this day, I believe that.
Yeah. Do you think you could go out right now and get the job done with the watermelon?
Oh, no way.
No way?
No
You're
way.
like, I'm not in watermelon shape.
No. Heck no. I'll pass out for sure.
Oh, that's so great. I love that. Now, I'll say this. So Eric Branch wrote this really fun story in the San Francisco Chronicle about you and your farming aspirations. I know we were talking about you being a country boy through and through, the watermelons, the fishing. It's very Georgia. Like, it sounds a lot like my own personal childhood. And you have a good amount of land, I believe, in your hometown. And you've said on the record that one day down the road, whenever that day comes, that you hope to have aspirations as a farmer.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's just something I've always been into. I like the slow pace, and I like the interaction with the animals, you know. Like, especially feeding my animals. I love watching my bull run up to me because he's starving for... Well, he's not starving, but they love. Right. They love when you feed them.
They act like they're starving.
Yeah, they love to eat. So it's just love. I love having the interactions with all my different animals, my bulls, my goats, my chickens. You know.
How much land do you have? How many animals do you have? Like, what's the situation and scope of this farm?
I'm still on the come up with it.
Okay.
But I got 100 acres.
All right.
Of land. So, and right now I got cows, I got goats, and I'm looking forward to, building on my cows and building on my goats.
So when it came to like buying land and buying animals and all that kind of stuff, like what type of research did you do into owning a farm?
This is all from coaches.
Really?
Yeah, this is all from ex-coaches. I got this idea from my Georgia coach when I was playing at Georgia. His name is Coach Shear. Mm-hmm. And he always told me, man, you need to get some land one day while we in college. Uh-huh. So I made sure I listened to him, and I went and did it. And he always been a person I can call with any type of question when it comes to maintaining my land,
Yeah. What's the best advice he gave you about owning the land and the farm and all that kind of stuff?
The best advice is it's a getaway. It's a great escape from the fast pace of, playing football. You got to go from here, there, everywhere. And
right.
That's the best thing about it. It's an escape. You can go hunting, you can go fishing, you can ride your ATVs. You can just chill out in the sun if you want to, really.
Yeah. Now, this is probably a tough question asking you to choose a favorite child, but do you have a favorite animal?
A favorite animal?
Yeah.
Out of all my animals?
Out of all the animals. Because you said you have sheep and goats and cows.
Yeah, it wouldn't be one of those, though. I used to have a chameleon in L.A. That's my favorite. That's my favorite animal. So.
Wow. What was the chameleon's name?
His name was Jack.
Jack.
I call him Jack. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. How long did you have him for?
I had him 4 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's funny that you go from having a chameleon out in L.A. to having a full farm.
Facts.
Full farm with cows and sheep and the whole thing. I love that. So I also read that you converted an old barn into the home.
Yeah.
The Barndominium. Yeah. Which I read that and I was like, I love that name instead of condominium. Barndominium.
Yeah.
Were you a part of the renovation process for that? Like, did you buy the land and the barn with the idea of, hey, I'm going to convert this into a home?
No, the barn wasn't there.
You built it?
Yeah, this is my idea through another one of my coaches.
Yeah.
It's one of his ideas. Why don't you get a barndominium so when you stay down there, you can have, like, comfortability of a home. So, yeah, it's made like a condo. I can park all my cars in there.
There you go.
Yeah, I can put some hay in there too.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of fun. Do you what advice do you have for people who are potentially getting into the Barndominium game?
It's quite different, but I like it a lot. It's something you can look into, and you might not think it's cool, but once it's built, it's very cool, for sure.
I love that. So we're going to wrap up because I know you have a busy day, but we always end the podcast with another game. I'm so sorry. We have to do another game, but I promise it's fun. This is rapid fire questions, really easy, quick, to the point. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your favorite play of your career?
My favorite play, sacking Aaron Rodgers.
Great start.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Makes so much sense. Who is your favorite athlete of all time?
My favorite athlete?
Yeah, regardless of sport, too.
Kobe.
Of course. Has to be. Do you have a TV show or a movie recommendation that you would give to the people?
We in Georgia. I'm pretty sure everybody done seen Friday.
Oh, yeah?
Watch Friday if you haven't seen it. Pretty funny.
So what was this is more for me than for probably anybody else, but what was your favorite memory from your time at the University of Georgia?
My favorite memory was anytime we won, Coach Rick. I had Todd Gurley on my team. I had Aaron Murray on my team, my teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that team with, like, Chris Conley,
and
Malcolm
Mitchell.
Yeah, Michael Mitchell.
Yeah, it was a lot of guys that I really enjoyed playing with.
That was such a fun group to watch. Last one. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
My superpower would be able to heal.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know if we've had that on the podcast yet.
I'll be a healer, yeah.
Oh, that's a great one. I feel like, and you would be able to, like, transfer healing powers to other beings, right? Like, if something happened to a cow, you could be like, he's fine now.
Yeah, I would be able to,
Yeah. Okay,
easily
cool.
just touch him.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a great humanitarian answer. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down on the podcast with me. Everybody who's listening at home, you can check us out on our YouTube page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, Leonard, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been so much fun.
Oh, yeah, it has.